On this episode of the World of CONCACAF, what is a Gombey Warrior? We'll find out as we take you to Bermuda. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the World of CONCACAF podcast. I am Eric Schmitz.
I'm Jonathan Sleep.
And I'm Donald Wine.
And we're back. Obviously trying to get through the rest of CONCACAF here. We are, this is episode Laser Focus number 30. So we're to like the last lap, I feel like.
We're gonna have a lot of meat. The good ones are coming. So after this, we're gonna have to talk about when those happen because people are gonna need to be ready. The streets are ready.
I think we're gonna get to a point where some of these are gonna have to be like two-parters because there's gonna be so much stuff to get through. But there's
17-hour mini series.
Yeah, there's a lot of meat. We love getting into like the nitty-gritty when it comes to CONCACAF.
The people versus OJ Simpson. Roots are 17-part Ronnie Brunswick episodes.
Think of it like a BBC Panorama series.
Right.
We're going to be working on a few exposés.
Yeah. Honestly, like once we get to there's some of these guys, like we might have to do like a Jack Warner trilogy or something like that. We haven't got to the US. We haven't got
Jack Warner sucks.
Jack Warner sucks.
Yeah. As noted. Chuck Blazer, when we get to the US, like obviously
Chucky D and the Funky Bunch.
Yeah. Yes. We'll have one specifically about his costumes. His Halloween traditions. But yeah, today we're going to talk about Bermuda, and we're talking about like what country we want to focus on next. I just kind of threw out Bermuda, and all of a sudden Jonathan excitedly told us about all of the fun stuff he was finding. So I'm really excited to dive into this. I think there's a lot to talk about, and we have dope kits to talk about too. But we'll get to the soccer stuff later. I think we start with Bermuda itself. So, Jonathan, why don't you kind of give us some background on Bermuda itself?
Yeah, so Bermuda is a British overseas territory in the North Atlantic. It's about 640 miles off the coast of North Carolina. It has an archipelago of 181 islands. The biggest landmass is really about 21 square miles, where cities like St. George are located. So when you think about it, not terribly big at all. Interesting enough about Bermuda, there was a lot of like first or interesting facts. So, we've talked a lot about the islands of when they were colonized, when quote unquote someone discovered this. But Bermuda is actually, in fact, one of the few that was uninhabited. There's no native population. And when it was discovered in 1505 by the Spanish explorer Juan de Bermudez, real original naming. And so from then until 1612, there was no permanent settlements on the island. But then in 1612, the English came, created a settlement called St. George's. And then from then up until 1684, it was governed under royal charter by the Somers Isle companies. So at times you may hear the Bermuda could actually also be referred to as the Somer Isles. And as it was an English company operating in, the North America area in the 1600s, we can guess that was all around slavery. There was, in the 1600s, they kind of outlawed it, but with some like indentured servitude, but the cut and dry, it was still basically slavery. It wasn't until the 1700s when it was outlawed there. And then after it became a crown colony, actually before it became a crown colony, they created so it's a self-governing parliamentary democracy, which sounds boring. except when you realize it's one of the world's oldest legislatures. So, in
Oh,
fact, it's older than the U.S. Congress, and then a lot of other places. So, just fascinating that it's one of the few islands that wasn't inhabited, and then that it's had some form of a legislature since 1620. Uh, Currently, the way it's set up now, so there was an independence referendum in 1995, but the majority of people voted against independence. And then with a population of 64,000, it is the second largest British overseas territory. Now that we've got all this boring stuff out of the way, let's talk about the Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle. I just felt that, we've talked about the Caribbean enough, and we've never once referenced this bizarre but
it's spooky.
hokey,
Yes.
spooky. That's about
Yeah.
spooky.
It's
Um,
spooky.
but for those that, I feel like the Bermuda Triangle was just taken aside for a second.
Yeah.
You know how like quicksand as a kid, there was a lot of times I was worried about quicksand and potentially perishing by sinking into quicksand
Yeah.
way more than
You're
I
also worried about it like being in your backyard, right?
yes.
Like
It
I'm
could be
going out to
anywhere.
weed the
It could be
garden and I fall
anywhere.
in quicksand that has magically appeared in my backyard.
Yeah. So much like quicksand, I was, worried about the Bermuda Triangle very much as a kid. Um, until, did some research, and it was actually something I was always a little interested in. But really, it's not it first is discussed in 1950. But for those that don't know, the Bermuda Triangle is basically the boundaries are San Juan, Puerto Rico, Miami, Florida, and then St. George, Bermuda. And so that is the boundaries within that, where there has been a host of various disappearances of various nature, including one of my favorite tales is the USS Cyclops. It was and still is to this day the largest loss of life from a non-combat accident in the U.S. Navy. It was a tanker ship that, with its 306 people, just disappeared.
I mean,
They're hanging with Pac. That's what it is.
like it's wild that it really didn't come into like a concept until the mid 20th century as like, oh, there's this spooky thing, and obviously people caught on to it. But yeah, like the amount of like different incidents and like how, yeah, things just disappear. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
as a child, your mind just cannot grasp like, yo, all these things are happening in the Bermuda Triangle. It's gonna get you. Don't fly through it.
yeah, because like the majority of like the marine incidents, like the naval incidents,
Mhm.
took place but most of them took place way before there was ever any type of like, I don't know, let's just call it urban legend
Yeah.
of what the area is. The USS Cyclops was in 1918. I mean, there's stuff going back into the 1800 early 1800s of incidents. Obviously the aircraft ones are more recent because we weren't flying back then. But yeah, it's always been something that's fascinated me and thought was going to play a bigger role in my life. And that, as a young kid, was the only thing I knew about Bermuda. I just knew it was connected to the Bermuda Triangle. And so that's what I got.
You used to read about them all the time. They even put them in like young adult books, like stories
Yeah.
about the Bermuda Triangle. It's part of the reason why I haven't been, right? Like, yeah, sure, I'm sure it's urban legend, but I ain't trying to find that out on my own. I need witnesses with me. Because if I'm going to get lost, I'm getting lost with some people that'll understand, and hopefully they have some good rum while we're there.
Well,
Yeah.
I think we have to like come to like an agreement. Is the Bermuda Triangle thing real?
Yes.
As a podcast, do we agree? Is it real?
Oh yeah.
It's real, bruh.
I mean, it's real in the sense that it is a triangular shape of three different places. Like Miami is real, and Bermuda is real, and San Juan, Puerto Rico is real. But
Yeah,
is
sure.
like the area
Sure.
between it,
It's
spooky?
another dimension.
It's
I've been
another.
in it.
What
I've
is
been in it, I
what is
guess, if I've
what
been to
is what
the
is real?
Bahamas. So I think we're good.
I mean, in the sense that space is real, like the triangle shape, everything in it is real. But does it actually do anything? I
At this podcast we believe.
Okay,
We
we are
believe.
believers. The CONCACAF believes in the triangle. So interesting, spooky. We don't get into enough urban legend in this podcast. Um,
No, we do not.
all right. Is there anything else you want to throw in about
No,
Bermuda?
I mean those are the big things.
Okay.
Just the history of the island. It's basically been a British territory since it was first colonized, and it's the fact that it doesn't have that native population is the most interesting thing to me.
Yeah, I believe Bermuda is the easternmost CONCACAF nation. Correct? I have to pull up a map here. I guess
No,
Canada. I guess Canada.
Canada stretches further east.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Bermuda might be like the most, you know, furthest away from anyone else.
Yeah, I believe it to be the most. I believe it to be the
It's
most
most
the most
isolated
isolated.
for sure.
The most
Yeah.
remote, yes. Until Greenland gets in here. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the culture of Bermuda. Obviously, we talked about how like there really wasn't a native population, but with England kind of running the island and the slave labor that they brought over from Africa, Bermuda's culture is kind of shaped by those influences. Bermudans are known for their warmth and hospitality. They celebrate their family, music, nature. Um, the environment kind of plays a key role into that. Down.
Yeah, real quick, I just want to just to put it to bed. Bermuda is not the easternmost. It's not. It's not even close to being the easternmost of the islands. The like little lip of Anguilla, all that's east. So it's just the most remote. They're the most isolated, I should say.
Okay. Hey, listen, on this podcast, we fact check in real
We fact
time.
check. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it just took me a minute to line up the latitude. So
Yeah. I've got a computer in front of my face and I didn't even fucking look at a map. So, you know, that
I
is
love
the
maps.
quality we're
That's my
with.
thing.
Yes. Maps are fun. But yeah, so the environment plays a key role. Like it's an island, boating, fishing, the beach. Like it's a big part of Bermudan life. The cuisine though, it kind of center because of where it is. The cuisine centers around the seafood and locally sourced ingredients. Like it's remote, so you're not getting a lot of unique stuff um, in the area. So the island's location, it makes fish and conch, like those are big staples of dishes. Flavors, it's got that Caribbean like flair, bold and tangy, which is not what you think when it's an English territory is flavors. Um, it does incorporate elements of African cooking, fresh fruits, herbs, spices, Bermudan food. It is, even though they're not really in the Caribbean, they are like Caribbean adjacent when it comes to the cuisine. And also, um, they've got famous dishes. Fish chowder is big. It's like a tomato based soup with fish and it's flavored with sherry pepper sauce and rum. We're big rum fans here. Cracked conch, deep fried conch is another favorite. And then pea soup made with split peas and salted pork, traditional comfort food. It's an island, great food. When it comes to the drinks, the island's iconic cocktail is the rum swizzle, made with rum, fruit juices, and grenadine. Dark and Stormies, big there as well. Your dark rum and ginger beer, well known Bermudan drink. And then one of the big rums there is the Bermuda Black Seal rum, which is used in many of their cocktails. So when you're talking rum, you're talking our language here on this podcast. But as much as we love rum and as much as we love the islands, we also love the soccer too. So,
But before we
Donald,
get to the soccer, I can't believe you didn't mention the number one thing that Bermuda is known for. Bermuda shorts.
oh yeah, the fashion. We
The
don't have like a
fashion.
fashion category in our rundown.
Yeah, well, Bermuda shorts are interesting, especially considering the fact that because it's so far north, they do it. I mean, they don't get snow, but like it gets, you know, temperate, right? It's not going to get to like 50, 40 degrees, but there's definitely days where they cannot wear Bermuda shorts, but Bermuda shorts is the thing that they have given to the world.
Everyone loves them, you
Yeah,
know.
Do they?
I don't have any. They don't make them in big butt sizes. So,
Mhm.
All right, Donald. Enough about the big butt shorts. Let's talk about the soccer.
soccer shorts. Well, no, we'll talk about soccer shorts in a minute.
Big butt
We'll
shorts.
talk. Yeah, we'll talk about the Bermuda Football Association. They were founded in 1928, so they're one of the older ones in CONCACAF. It is obviously the official football organization. They are in charge of several things, including the Bermuda national teams. And they're the one thing about it. First of all, they joined FIFA in 1962. They joined CONCACAF in 1967. And unlike a lot of their island or Caribbean Football Union counterparts, they have a few pro leagues. They're not just focused on just one or developing one. They have a couple. On the men's side, they have the Bermudian Premier Division, and then they also have the First Division. They even have a couple of amateur level 11 aside. They have an island soccer league, which is a pro six aside league. So they even have that. On the women's side, they do have a women's league, which is great. That's obviously something that a lot of islands do not have. They even have a youth league, the Appleby Youth League, and then uh, what you guys might remember back in the day, maybe 15, 20 years ago, they had a Bermuda team in USL League Two for like 6 or 7 years. The Bermuda Hogs. It was at the same time they had like the Antigua Barracuda. They were trying to, USL is trying to expand its footprint, and the Puerto Rico Islanders are trying to expand their footprint in the islands. But sadly, those teams are defunct, so they are now no longer with us. But they competed. Funny enough, is because they were so far north, they competed in the Mid Atlantic Division. So Bermuda's team would actually come to play USL League Two teams around DC and in Maryland because that was the same. Those are the teams that were in their division. I will also mention. I should mention obviously the National Stadium. National Stadium is the Bermuda National Sports Center. It has 8,500 seats, and again, like most of the Caribbean, it is built for both soccer and cricket, and hosts both national teams on soccer as well as their cricket national team.
uh, Speaking of the national teams, do you want to talk about the women's national team?
Sure. Well, let's talk about the women. They actually have some history. Again, one of the fact that they've been established and having all of these different leagues and national teams fully established is very, very unique to the CFU, but it's also great to see that they have done it. Right now, they are 147th in the world. The highest they have been is 105th, and actually, they're 147th right now. That is just one off of their lowest, which was a couple years ago. They were 148th for about a year. So they're starting to build their way back up. Their first match was in April 2000. It was against the Bahamas. They won that match 3-0. Their largest victory was against Dominica in March 2007. They won 8-0. And in August 2014, they suffered their worst defeat, which was against Jamaica. That was 9-1. So, nice little range of games here. They have not qualified for a World Cup, an Olympics, or a CONCACAF W Championship. Also, not the CONCACAF W Gold Cup, but they have played in two Caribbean Football Union Women's Caribbean Cups. The last one in 2014. They just made it out, just made it through the group stage in both of those. There is something called the Island Games, and it's not just Caribbean islands; it's like all islands around the world can participate in this event, or I'm sorry, in this tournament. They have only appeared in it 3 times, but every single time they have done so, they have medaled. In 2005 and 2007, they won a bronze, and in 2013, they won the tournament. It is unclear whether they will be playing in the next one, which is supposed to be in Guernsey. But there's an island games that I have learned through this, and Bermuda very much a participant in it, obviously because of their ties to the British Isles.
Interesting. Um, let's talk about the men's side. The Gombey Warriors. Now, you might have heard this name and not known what Gombey is. So we looked that up for you. So if I can read right from Wikipedia, the Gombey is an iconic symbol of Bermuda. It's a unique performance art full of colorful and intricate masquerade, dance, and drumming. This folk tradition reflects the island's blend of Native American, African, Caribbean, and British cultures. Um, it also does note that historically, the Gombeys were not viewed as a respectable art form by the island's ruling class and were banned by the slave masters. Slaves were allowed to dance only once a year and did so in masks in order to protest without fear of retribution. The injustices done them by their slave masters. So it's kind of like a people's nickname for the national team. The men's national team, they played their first international match in 1964, oddly against Iceland, which not far away, but also very, interesting compared to like who CONCACAF teams typically meet. But again, this is pre CONCACAF. They've never qualified for a World Cup. They're currently ranked 166th in the latest FIFA rankings. Their highest ranking ever was 58 back in 1992. They've entered World Cup qualifying in pretty much every edition of them. They did not enter. I take that back. They did not enter for a lot of the 70s, 80s, and up through 1990. They rejoined qualifying in 1994, winning 4 of their 10 matches in that qualifying round. They did not qualify. But they have found some success in CONCACAF Nations League. They started in A division in the inaugural edition, but were relegated. They've been hanging out in the B division since. They finished 4 wins and 2 draws in this most recent edition, and they will remain in League B for this next Nations League. They have never qualified for a Caribbean Cup. They've entered qualification, but have not. And their real title is a 2013 Island Games victory. They finished first in that edition. Most of their players either play in England or domestically. They have had some players play in the U.S. Zyko Lewis played now with MLS teams for a little bit. He's currently with Union Omaha. And then there's Jai Bean, who's playing in the Bermudan League now, but as Donald will note, a Duke alum there.
Gang.
Nakai Wells, currently their best player. He is currently tied with Sean Goder as the all-time leading scorer with 20 goals. Nakai has 20 goals in 26 caps with the national team. A lot of young talent there, but I think the thing that sticks out most when it comes to the Bermuda national team are the kits, because they might, whether they play well or not, like they look elite. So Bermuda known now for their pink kits. I asked the group, why do they wear pink? And I think Donald found the answer.
Yes. So pink is their official away color. Their official home color is like a navy blue. A little bit lighter than like pure navy, but the navy that's kind of close to their flag. And I guess in 2019, the government of Bermuda established the national sports colors as blue, pink, and white. And the reason why, there's a quote from their Minister of Labor, Community Affairs, and Sports at the time. That person wrote, and quote, "We believe that donning our new national sports uniform colors of pink, blue, and white will certainly assist with strengthening our national pride and national identity. Many countries are identified by their team colors, such as Brazil, Jamaica, Bahamas, and Trinidad and Tobago, to name a few. Bermuda is pleased to join the long list of countries to now be recognized by their iconic colors, end quote. So in essence, they kind of said they have a flag similar to all the British Empire where they have the Union Jack at some point. It's a navy blue flag, and they maybe have like a coat of arms or some sort of seal that is on there. Anguilla is the same way with theirs, to name another country that's in the Caribbean. And so they said, how do we differentiate from everything else? We can't really use our flag. They were going off of red and blue for a while, but like Australia, like New Zealand, like India, they said, hey, we need to find something that represents us. So they went with blue and pink, and damn, it looks good. I wish I had one of them. Score Sports did great with their jerseys.
Yes, worth noting that Score Sports on their website has Bermuda national team jerseys available, $70, available internationally. So you can go to Bermuda's FA page, and there's a link to the international store. Pick up.
It does work because I got the Vincy Heat jersey through the Score Sports website. Got here in like a week, so I think they ship them from Florida. But yeah, it's quick shipping. Can recommend the legitness of it. But yeah, I need to get one.
Yes, they are fire. All right, we talked some soccer. Let's talk some dumb team names. We're gonna take a quick break, and then Jonathan, you are gonna be up on real team or fake team. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. It is that time. Donald, are you ready?
I'm ready. Wait. Now I'm ready.
Okay. You know what? Just because this is a team sport, I'm actually going to do the same. Donald and I are going invisible, so Jonathan can't read our poker faces. When it comes to real team or fake team, the most prestigious podcast game show on the entire world internet. Donald and I have 16 names. Jonathan has to decide if they are real or just ridiculous, or maybe they are real and ridiculous. He's got to decide if they're real or fake. We're going to alternate. Jonathan, are you good to go?
I'm ready.
All right. I'm going to let Donald go first.
All right. So I'm going to start with Dandy Lions.
Dandy Lions. Let's go real.
Dandy Lions is a fake team.
All right.
Yeah, that not a great start, John. All right. PHZ Zebras.
PHZ. Let's go real team.
Sorry, PHC Zebras.
PHC.
Yes.
PHC. Real team.
PHC Zebras is a real team. The Pembroke Hamilton Club Zebras are the defending champions of the Bermuda Premier League. They are also the winningest franchise in the country. 13 titles to their name.
All right, so he's 1 for 2?
Yep.
1 for 2. All right, so your next team is Robin Hood.
Robin Hood. Go real team.
Robin Hood is a real team. They were third in the first division last year, just missing promotion.
They were in Robin Hood. I feel like we were in CCC recently.
That's the Suriname Robin Hood.
Yeah, well,
The one word one. This is 2 words. Yes.
2 words. Gotcha. So it's helping me out.
Young Guns SFC.
Young Boys SFC.
Young Guns.
Oh, Young
SFC.
Guns. S or Z.
Let's go with Z.
Let's go with Z. Let's go real team.
Young Guns SFC with a Z in guns is a real team. They were defeated by Robin Hood in the first round of the FA Challenge Cup this year.
So you are 3 for 4, right? Yeah, 3 for 4. All right. So the final team that I have, and of course Eric has one. My final team for you is Wolves.
Just Wolves.
Wolves.
Real team.
Wolves is a real team. They were second in the first division last year. They were promoted to the Premier Division, so they're in the Premier Division this year.
All right. My last team is Dandytown Hornets.
Dandytown Hornets. We're gonna go fake team.
Dandytown Hornets is a real team. They are currently top of the table in the Premier Division. They are their colors are brown and gold, and notably, they lost in the first round of the 1991 CONCACAF Champions Cup to the Brooklyn Italians in a two-legged affair. So, Dandytown, gotcha.
I went back and forth on that one. That was one I was like, are they gonna? Are they gonna give me two dandies?
Listen, four for
real
six. There's nothing to. There,
At least
honestly,
you didn't get 6 stars like I did last time.
Yeah, but it
well,
was just too easy.
there was a lot left on the cutting room floor. Some of my personal favorites were Footy Kings,
Mhm.
Tough Dogs. That's TUFF Dogs with an S. Um, FC Rhino, and Terrace Onions.
Onions. I was gonna out onions. Also, X Roads Warriors, and
Yeah.
X Roads is pronounced Crossroads.
Yeah.
But is actually the official name is X Dash Roads Warriors.
This is a Jonathan throwing up the X on the video right now. Yeah, this is one of like the upper echelon CONCACAF named like sports landscapes that we've run across. Like I think if you have to come up with a good example of like what do we mean when we talk about like CONCACAF's ridiculous team names, I think Bermuda might be like that's a podium effort out there.
I loved
they're top two.
Montserrat had some great ones, including one of my favorite team names, the Montserrat Volcano Observatory FC.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Shout
Just
out Montserrat.
absolute one of my favorite teams.
That at the end of this, when we finally reach whichever one's going to be our last one, I assume it's the United States. One, United States, we got to bring in somebody. Somebody else is going to have to do that one.
Yeah.
But also, we need to have like a Hall of Fame induction for like 10 of the best possible names.
I will say
I've got an idea. We're gonna talk about it. I got a great idea. We're gonna talk about it on
one more round.
Yes. But Jonathan, what were you
Cool.
gonna say?
No, I was gonna bounce ideas around, but we'll do that on one more round.
Yeah. And you might ask, what is one more round? One more round is the exclusive bonus podcast that we share on our Patreon, which you
know
can
what
find.
we didn't do at the beginning of the episode, Eric?
We didn't shout out the fucking Patreon. I know. This is why we're
Thank
broke.
you, patrons.
This is why we're broke.
Waited
thank you guys for
30
your
minutes
support.
to tell you thank you.
Yeah.
No, we appreciate you for real.
Yeah.
For real.
But we have a Patreon, patreon.com/podcastcaf. You can go support the podcast there, listen to our one more round bonus episodes, some other fun material. When I did posted the one more round after, when I posted the most recent episode, the St. Martin one, I even posted pictures from my vacation there,
And
bonus content.
This is for everybody because Jonathan is wearing, modeling one of our lovely hoodies from our
Looks
spring
hot.
store. We got t-shirts, we got hoodies, we got bucket hats, which I promise you
Fanny
are the
packs.
best things out there.
Yeah.
The best things out there. And several colors, all of them outlandish. There is going to be no mistaking you as a fan when you wear some of the stuff.
Yeah. It is prime CONCACAF, vibes there.
You may be starting to think about, what am I going to do for spring break? Maybe I need some new clothes for spring break. A new tank top, maybe. Bucket hat to keep the sun out of your face.
Mhm.
And if you want to look your best, the World of CONCACAF store.
And the link there is on all of our social media. Make sure you're following us on the Instagram, Blue Sky, and the Facebook. We're not even going to talk about the other one. But yeah, follow us there. Don, where can people find you?
I'm on Blue Sky at BlazinDW. I'm also on Instagram, but Blue Sky is where you want to find me.
Yeah. Slate.
I am on Blue Sky at JSleep.
And we are at PodCACAF. If you want to send us an email, you can email us at podcacaf@gmail.com. I don't really check it a lot, but we'll see it eventually. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your support. We love you. We love CONCACAF. And we'll be back with another episode soon. But in the meantime, we'll see you on the Patreon for one more round. Take it easy.